Welcome to Wealthing Talks. I am your host, Alicia Castillo Holley, bringing you real-life conversations from Silicon Valley or somewhere around the world. We will talk about disruptors, angel investments, venture capital, and of course, family offices. Join me along with my children, their families, friends, disruptors, and investors as we explore the fascinating world of creating wealth in a completely different and authentic way. Thank you, everyone, for being here. It is such a pleasure to be talking to Mark Edwards, the CEO of ViewMind. Mark, thank you so much for being here. I'm a big fan of your work. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Alicia. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so I'm always so excited to talk to you. Let's just start with, how did you get to do these? How did you get here? What happened?
Yeah, so that's how long do we have for the
Oh,
podcast?
no, don't make good stories short, please.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll try and give the really reasonably short version, but I I'm friendly with a professor of Johns Hopkins, and he's also a professor of a university in Argentina. And he also happens to be the president of a trade association called TIAC. And he invited me to go to Argentina to do like a lecture tour, present the some of my experience about how to internationalize companies in a few different cities, and also to meet about 20 companies and give them advice about internationalization. So that's what I did, and I met the very nascent version of ViewMind at that time with just a few employees, a scientist, and one other person who was turning the science into a product and doing some clinical validation. And I was intrigued because I felt that this is something that was very, very powerful. It could be, it would have global application. It would have profound, large scale applications. And it was something that was much needed. And I have friends who are in the brain area and very, neurophysiologists and neuroscientists. And I asked them to do some diligence, and they indeed gave me the thumbs up and said, "This is real. This looks really, really impressive." But I didn't immediately, obviously the ball was in the court of the company at that point. The lead investor reached out to me a few months later, and they asked me if I would get involved, and I was very excited to get involved. And so I started off as the executive chairman, but I think they told me afterwards that their idea was that I would become the CEO, and indeed I ended up as the CEO. I really liked the team. The team were very, very smart, very personable, and also very coachable, and we worked very well together. So we had a great beginning, and there's three co-founders. We have the scientist, the product person, and I'm really the commercialization deal making person and product. I have a lot of product background as well. So that's kind of how I got involved. I felt, I suppose, from a personal perspective, I I do have a lot of internationalization experience. I've built four market leaders in the world, including, I headed up Windows at Microsoft in the UK and Ireland. I had the best success and the best sales of any subsidiary in the world, in the UK and Ireland, and which is a whole other story I could go into. And I built the world's leading operating system for smartphones in the early stages, Symbian, and I was the executive VP there. And I built some other startups who were nascent, had really nothing to start with, into market leaders. I built my first startup became the fifth best-selling software in the US in November 1995, 30 years ago. And so it was literally one down from Netscape Navigator at the time in the software charts. Windows had two slots above, and SoftRAM 95 was the other one. So that was very exciting. And I thought, really a few things. One, I felt that ViewMind could help millions of people, and I felt that could really have a huge impact. And I felt that I would like to help it achieve its potential. And I felt, to some extent, I almost felt a duty, an obligation, but something I wanted to do as well, to take all of the skills and the experience I have to bring it to bear on ViewMind and realize the potential it has to really make a big difference in a market where it's an aging population. We have growing issues in terms of neurodegenerative disorders. We have a lot of issues in terms of mental health, which is also on the rise. And ViewMind can have a huge impact because the standard of care is really well overdue an overhaul. We have pen and paper testing, which is literally 100 years old. We have computer-based versions of the same thing, which may be a little bit more convenient, but they still suffer from a lot of the same limitations in terms of scalability, in terms of the sensitivity and accuracy of those tests. And then we have neuropsychologists performing a battery of assessments that can take 6 hours. It's expensive. It's not scalable. And in the US, the average wait list is between 2 and 10 months, depending on where you live. So there's a huge unmet need to really address this area of precision assessments of functional brain health. The part of the brain, not the physical side, but the part of the brain that governs how we actually use our brain to make decisions, to use it to recall things from memory, to process information, to focus on something. And we have the highest sensitivity and accuracy in the world to do that. And we also have such a high sensitivity, it correlates with structural changes in the brain, physical changes, which you would normally use an MRI, a PET scan, or a lumbar puncture or blood testing to perform. And we can correlate with that. Not that we would try and replace it. So a doctor's always going to do a structural test. But if we can show correlation and at the same time be the world's most precise functional assessment, that could move the standard of care forwards from what it is today to, ViewMind plus a blood test or ViewMind plus an MRI, and so on.
So when did you join the company?
I joined in 2019.
Okay. Oh, and for the record, we're investors in the company. So not everybody that comes is as a guest. We have invested, but just for the record. So two things, just from a personal perspective, with all the experience that you have in all the markets, in all the industries, what are the lessons that somebody who's starting could get from your experience? What is the letter that you would write to your younger self about all the experience that you have accumulated? What are the things that you didn't know that now you know that could help somebody?
I think it would be more than a letter. It would probably be a book.
Well, then let's just start with the podcast.
I'll start with it.
Or give me two.
Two, I think, one is really about the team. I mean, when you're a young CEO, there's probably a limitation. Often there could be a limitation of who you could recruit into the team based on your experience and based on the perception of somebody more experienced coming in and working for somebody, quite young or inexperienced. I think that, that's certainly a very, very critical element. You're as good as the people you have in the company. And I am very proud. I think we've built a pretty amazing team. We're a small team, but every last person is outstanding. We have, an exec team with very experienced people. We have, for example, Renata Afonso. She is a 20-year CEO herself. She was most recently the CEO of CNN. In Brazil, she is the current chairwoman of UNICEF Brazil. and she was the CEO of TV10 previously as well. She had a few thousand people there. She's a very, an outstanding executive, and she's been with ViewMind for a year and a half now. She is our president for LATAM, and she's also our chief marketing officer. She obviously has huge media experience. We have a chief medical officer, Danilo Verge, and Danilo has 25 years thereabouts running global medical affairs in big pharma in Novo Nordisk and AstraZeneca for multiple different indications. So he has a huge amount of medical experience. And we've also we have Abi Vaiz, who is our chief commercial officer. Abi has built 3 neuro companies in the US. He has had very good exits, multiple exits, and really is considered an expert in neuro and commercialization. And so those are 3 people who've come into the team, and then we have the original founders, Matthias, chief product officer, and Danilo and Gerardo, the chief science officer. So really strong team. But when you have a strong team like that, it also means that the team that they hire are super strong as well. So, even our most junior person in the company, they're all indispensable. They're all doing, amazing work and very committed, very smart, and so on. So, that is one of the things that I think you learn, that you can't, if you're going to create something really profound, you can't really just do it all by yourself. You need a really strong team, both to bring ideas and thoughtful input to what we do and how we go about it, and then also in terms of execution. And it's also, I think, one of the other things in terms of team is you don't want everybody to be the same. You need a balance. You need some people are the let's say the creator of ideas. Other people will be the people who are more, let's say, process centric, and you need to work out what are the weak spots, what are the, let's say, the competencies that you would benefit from boosting, and that can inform your recruitment.
That's very important. I just had a conversation earlier with one of our team members, and she said you can get to 100 with what you have with 10. You'll break it. So it was really interesting to see how she works around building teams for growing companies, and especially in your area that is very, 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 very specific. You have to have the right people, and they have to have synergy. So that's really important. Any other thing beyond building a team? You have one more tip, because I have another couple of questions.
Yeah, I think one other area is it really bears a good amount of thinking, reflection, and discussion to work out your business model and how you're going to go to market. Because when you don't have customers, you can really come up with a lot of different ideas as to how you do that. Once you actually have customers, you're a little bit stuck with what you went out with. It gets harder to change things. And so what we've tried to do is create a business model and a setup that will get us to profitability more quickly, to be a self-sustaining, independent company. I think probably in my younger years, my bias was a little bit more towards triple-digit growth rates every year for 5 years, 6 years, and I really like at this point the idea that we can just be self-sustaining and have a very efficient model that can scale, and trying to reduce the amount of friction as well.
Mhm.
I think businesses. I'm kind of a little bit allergic to services. I have run businesses with quite a degree of service component previously, even a managed service company that did outsourcing of big systems, billion-dollar type systems for large enterprises, which was interesting, and we did it well, but it's very hard to scale those types of businesses. So I think I'm a lot more kind of very focused to keep to the core technology, minimize the friction from a services standpoint to maximize the potential to grow in an easy way without taking on a lot of additional cost.
Oh, it's really interesting. Yeah. But a lot of people think that it's very easy to execute, but really when you're executed, you realize, oh, you have all these little pieces.
I mean, services can be kind of tempting because you see a certain revenue stream. Is it good to go after capture some millions of dollars of revenue in a particular stream, which has quite a high services element? It can seem quite attractive because you've got that revenue, but it comes with it a whole host of challenges in terms of friction, which it may hinder you later on in terms of your growing, your
Yeah.
ability to grow.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Not ViewMind, you, Mark.
Me. It's a hard question for me to answer something like
Oh,
that.
I have a harder question that comes
Yeah,
later.
because I live for today. I feel like every day is a blessing. If you have good health, then you've got to be positive and enjoy every day. And if you do that for every day for the next 10 years, then you'll have had a great 10 years, irrespective of what comes after. I suppose that in 10 years, I probably would see myself giving back more than anything, giving back in terms of helping people realize their dreams. So helping entrepreneurs who have great ideas, but maybe they lack the experience to really know what to do. There is quite a lot of complexity of things, of compliance, of tax, of setups, of transfer pricing. There's a whole host of things that it's hard for a startup to really know how to do, and there can be many pitfalls and strategy and all sorts of things. So I think I can really help companies, young entrepreneurs realize their dreams and benefit from the experience and the mistakes I've made and the things I've learned along the way. And I do a little bit of that in my not very much spare time. And I envisage doing more of that, in the future. I've been interested. I actually at one point about 10 years ago, I decided I wouldn't continue as an operating executive. I would just invest my own capital, and I did quite a bit of investments in quite bigger positions in startups with a view to being more actively involved. But then after a while, I just got sucked back in because I love it too much, and it's rewarding to really feel like you can have an impact and be shaping something that can be evolving.
Well, you're an operator. You like the operation, the execution. Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
miss that. I miss that personally. I miss the lab too. But I think I'm much more efficient investing in channeling investments, which I hope you can get to do when you're my age, which is very rewarding.
Very young.
Well, it's okay. It is okay. Like my dad would say, it is okay. I'm breathing. That's a win. Yeah, no, that's okay. So the last question for you, it's actually it's a more profound question, and it's a question that I like to wrap up the podcast with. It's more of a reflection of what life is. When I was 13, I fell off a horse and I ended up in coma. So I died, but I didn't die completely. So I got back 4 days later, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm back. And ever since I think, well, what can I do with this gift that is life? Because I know it's going to end. So something happens in you when you see that you die, when it's a real, especially when it's that young, but not everybody has the opportunity to get back.
Come back.
So, yeah. So, have you thought about what is your essence? Who is Mark when Mark is no longer here?
Gosh, what a profound question.
I know, I love that.
Um, Well, I suppose I'm quite a spiritual person in some ways, and I feel that in some ways that if you build a good relationship, good rapport with different people, that a little bit of your spirit sort of goes on in them, like the way you might feel, even though somebody in your family may have died, that you still feel that there's part of them that you can still relate to, you can still imagine, you can imagine them talking and having
Yeah.
a conversation with them. So I would like to think that I've touched certain people's lives in a very positive way, that they would have positive reflections in terms of how they live their life, their philosophy on things, and hopefully that they feel positive and that they feel they can overcome anything and have some of the I think some of the values that maybe I would hope that I've imparted some of the values that I hold dearly in them that could be beneficial to them.
What are
Positive,
those values?
yeah, positivity, always, trying your best, not giving up, trying to, helping people without the expectation necessarily always of something back, that, unconditional sort of help. Um, Being polite, being respectful to people all the time, no matter who it is, it could be the janitor or whatever, always treating people with the utmost respect. So, those are some of the philosophies that I believe in. Also, I do believe in the company very much in meritocracy, not hierarchy. And I always say to the team that when we have we do periodically every 6 months, we have a gathering of everybody in the company together for a week. It's a very intense, but I was just talking with Renata this morning how we've just seen incredible boost of productivity from the last meeting we had. And this we're making the product is just iterating, and new things are being added in a really rapid fashion, which are just fantastic. And I think, in the meeting, we just say, look, everybody has a voice. Everybody should express their opinions. There's no good or bad opinions. Let the best ideas win through. Let the merit win through. And so that's very much the kind of philosophy that I subscribe to as a leader, as a manager. And I believe, also in walking the talk, that you should never, you should always lead from the front and be willing to do whatever needs to be done. And set an example to everybody else that that's so those are some of the things that I hold dearly.
Well, it's now being recorded, so we'll use it. Mark, if people want to contact ViewMind, what is the best way to contact you?
The best way to contact me is either to email me. My
Okay.
email is very
We'll put
simple.
the emails
Yeah.
yeah.
mark.edwards@viewmind.com, or my phone number. I think they may be in my background here on the.
Oh, yes, it is. It is. I just have my, yeah. So
Yeah.
Mark
Yeah.
Edwards or ViewMind.
Or
Mark,
through Alicia.
or,
So
no, not through me, not through, I have
through
no
you.
email. No. But Mark, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. I love what you're doing, despite the fact that my kids keep trying to convince me to try ViewMind to see if my brain is okay. I'm just a little bit, okay, this is maybe next month, but I'll get there.
I'm sure you would be very happy with the results. I tested a CEO. I was just come back from AAIC in Toronto, and there was a CEO that I tested, and he was so pleased with his results. He pretty much told everybody at the whole conference
Oh, really?
executive function he had.
Actually, I saw that you posted that and I reposted it on LinkedIn and said, hey, everybody go and get to check. We should bring you to, because you have something in Silicon Valley. We should bring you here and have
Yeah.
a whole testing. Yeah, we should definitely do that. But anyway, Mark, thank you so very much
Thank you,
for
Alicia.
being here with us. Thank you for taking care of our money. Thank you for making the world a better place, and thank you for your wisdom for the next generations.
Thank you. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you for having me.
So it is such a pleasure to invite Mark and to talk to somebody who has been in the business for a long period of time in different industries, different geographies, and very, very passionate about brain health. ViewMind is one of our portfolio companies, as I mentioned. He said two things that I think are critical, and not a lot of people talk about it. You can't build and run a company solo. You have to have your tribe, and your tribe is not necessarily your friends. You have to be professional about who you bring to the table. You have to have some chemistry, but they have to have synergy. You don't have to supplement each other. You have to complement each other. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you in the next Wealthing episode. Alicia Castillo Holley, yours in Wealthing. Thanks for tuning in to our Wealthing Talks. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation. To stay connected, visit us at wealthing.com. This is Alicia Castillo Holley, your host, and until next time, yours in Wealthing.